Right, morning again. I'm doing a rerun of this video where essentially I plant a shilling, First World War shilling, which is 1 inch diameter down there, and I put a 1960s sixpence in that hole, both at 9 inches deep, so at pinpointer depth. I've got the TX850, Tango X-ray 850, which is a copy of the TX850 G2 Chinese copy, with a Chinese copy of the 13-inch Nell Tornado coil on it. And I've got the Simplex in its standard form. This one costs anywhere between, I think you can get them for 90 quid on the likes of Amazon, but 100 to 200 pounds, and this is 200 to 300 pounds, the Simplex. We'll see how they compare. So that's the test I'm doing today. And just want to show some sort of more the finer aspects of ground balancing, which is what gives you the best depth essentially when you're hunting with these machines. Right, so first of all, here are the coins. That's a First World War or thereabouts shilling, just short of 1 inch in diameter, and a 1960s sixpence, which is about 3/4 of an inch. We'll put the 1 inch diameter silver shilling down there at that depth, which is pinpointer is 9 inches. So we'll put that down at pinpointer depth, and then over here we'll put the sixpence. There we go, at a similar depth. There we go. As I say, 9 inches long is the pinpointer, so that's what we'll do the test with. And we'll refill the holes, obviously. Refill the holes. Nice damp soil, which gives you less aeration or cavities that would give you otherwise possibly a false reading. I'll refill this one. There we go. Now I'll go and get one of the detectors. Right, as I say, this is a carbon copy of the TX850, which is American G2, and it's made in China. It's a TX850. So the first thing we do is put both knobs into 12 o'clock, and we have this center button is GG, ground grab. So we essentially we try for an automatic ground balance, which offsets the conductivity of the ground. I know that if I go over here, it's free of targets, so this is the space I need to do it on. It doesn't bleep, this particular machine, as you raise and lower the coil, so you have to look at the numbers until they stabilise. And I've got at the moment 33, 12, 9, 14. Not terribly reassuring, but try and find an average. Keep going. 19, 20. There we go. And at this point, we switch the right-hand knob to off, which takes us into discrim mode. And the next thing we do is we raise the sensitivity or gain, and we'll put it on 100. So we'll have both machines on 100, which is the maximum sensitivity. So first of all, I'll do the 9 inch, 1 inch diameter silver shilling. See if we can pick it up. $83, $85. Don't know if you can see that. Quite quiet, but and now for the sixpence. 40, 60, catching one way only. Now the other thing you could do is basically raise and lower the coil, and do a manual ground balance, because fortunately it doesn't seem to be necessary in this case, but basically to manually ground balance you'd have to go put the threshold knob at 12 o'clock, and then you can, with these arrows, you can raise or lower it. So at the moment it's 19. I could lower it to 15. If I raise it, in fact, if I show you that, if I raise it to something like 35, go back into discrim mode by turning that knob off, you'll see the ground is starting to have an influence. What we need to do is lower it to a point where I go right down to, that's it, right down to 12, let's say, and go back into discrim mode. The influence of the ground has gone, which is important because otherwise the empty hole is going to be setting off your detector, if that makes any sense. Right, so we've got a limited menu. Unlike the G2, they haven't copied off everything. The menu, basically, you've got, press the center button, it takes you into ground balance, press it again. Sorry, that's all you have. There are other options when you buy the G2, but if we press that, we're in discrim mode. So those are the basic functions that you've got available to you. There's a V-brake on the G2 which isn't available here, which is, a V-brake is where you set the tonal change on the VDI. So you have set a point where the tone changes in pitch, and that can be quite useful if you want to reject with your ears certain tones below a certain pitch. Right, so that's the G2 clone. We'll go to the... Alright, now grabbing the Simplex. We'll do a ground balance as we did on the TX. The ground balance is really critical. So we're going to settings, and now we go 68, 68, 69. Return, hit the return button. The other thing we can do is look at, because I'm near to power lines here, F123, so we can do a frequency offset. There we are, that's a bit quieter, that one. F1. So we ground balanced, we're 1 bar off full sensitivity. I think it's 6 out of 7 bars. And we'll do the shilling first of all. So we're at, what would be, I don't know, 85% sensitivity here. 85, 78, 84, and now for the sixpence, a bit quieter. The TX is very, very quiet, incidentally. It's a loud machine when you're close to the targets, but the fainter ones, there is a fix for that. You can change the volume of the fainter targets or deeper targets, and reduce the volume of the louder targets. There's a fix online somewhere. I haven't attempted to do it yet, but I might do. There are 48, that's the sixpence. So that's 1 bar off full sensitivity, which makes the machine relatively quiet. You can work with that, I think. That amount of chatter, a small amount of EMI coming through. But if I go to full sensitivity, and go back over those 9-inch coins, 9-inch deep coins, get the sixpence easily, and then the shilling, which is larger, get that very easily, full sensitivity. Whether I can detect with that degree of chatter, I don't know. Happens, there's another target there, 50. No, I didn't plant that, so I think out of interest we'll just dig that. Right, so we just have a random target that was in the ground near to my test target, 2 to 3 feet away, and it's showing 56. So let's give that a dig. Right, it's in the clod anyway. It is in the clod. Something tiny. What is it? Oh. Tiny piece of aluminium. Tiny piece of aluminium. There we go. So I'll just extricate those 2 coins. This is the shilling. There it is. Right, got the shilling out. So we'll backfill. Always backfill your holes properly. So it's quite damp soil, so it's relatively easy to do that at the moment. So it's leaving a bit of a depression, so never mind. And then the other one, we get the sixpence out now. This is sixpence. Right, so that's that job done. Fill the holes back in neatly. And that's that done. So the point I wanted to make about ground balance is essentially if I did a bit of experimentation, it had wrongly been set at 90 or 95, and neither of those coins would pick up a ball by the Simplex. And similarly with the TX, the auto ground balance was giving something like 50, but as you raised and lowered the coin, you're still hearing the ground, so I lowered it manually to about 30, and that's what gave me the best depth. So sometimes you'll have to do a mixture of using the auto, basically using the automatic assessment of the ground, holding that button down, and then afterwards raise and lower the coil a few times, and if necessary lower it or raise it a tad to give you something that's stable and giving you the best depth. I wouldn't raise it or lower it too much, but as I say, on the TX the ground balance was giving something like 30 or 40, and I lowered it to something like 25 before it was able to pick up both those coins clearly. Thanks for watching. Just some tips on those. If you've got a vanquish like I have, which I'm just giving it a rest for the moment, you've got auto ground tracking, which none of this is necessary for, so you can just go into auto ground tracking. But you might find that if you find something really faint and deep, you might find that doing a manual ground balance, an auto ground balance followed by a manual ground balance before you re-swing over the target might give you a slightly clearer signal. That's all for now, and thank you very much for watching. I hope to get out this weekend. Just depends what the weather's doing. I might get a hunt this weekend if the weather allows. See you soon.